Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be working with React Native. We're going to be making an app. We're going to be making this task app, kind of a reminder app. We're going to be using Expo to create this app. Expo is very good. It caters for Android and iOS all together, so it makes life a lot easier. So just give you a demonstration of today's project. Just simple task tracker. You add the task. If there's nothing in the input and you go to add task, you get a warning. Just type in another one. And it's a scrollable list then, and just delete. We won't be working with a backend or storing them in local storage or anything like that. It's just the functionality of adding them and how getting started with React Native and how to add them and delete them. Okay, so we'll get started with today's project. Okay. If you haven't already, you'll need to install Expo, and to install Expo, just go to this website here, Expo Docs Expo Dev, get started installation, and you need to install, go down to Expo CLI, you need to install the Expo CLI. So it's straightforward. Install an Expo CLI, just open the terminal and do npm install global Expo CLI, and that's basically it. For Mac users, there's an extra step here, which is all straightforward. So once you have Expo installed, open up your Visual Studio Code and create your folder. We go down to the terminal then, and we do Expo init, and if you want to call it the same name as what your folder is, you just put in the dot, or you can give it an extra name. So I'm just going to leave it the same, so I press enter on that, and then we get a few options. We want to start from a blank template, so press enter on that. And Expo will set up our project for us. So I'm just going to fast forward the video here now until this is completed. Now that's after installing, it's finished running. So then we say Expo start. This will open a Metro bundler inside in your browser. Now, we have a few options here on the left hand side. We can open it in a web browser, or if you have Android Studio installed, emulator, or you can run an iOS simulator. But what I normally do is I run it on my phone itself, on the physical device. You can scan this code, but to get this working, you need to install the Expo app. So if you're, just go to your the App Store or the Google Store, App Store, and download the Expo app. And once you've downloaded the Expo app, just open the camera on your phone and scan this QR code, and it'll open up in the Expo app. So that's what I'm going to do now. So if I just open up, there's my screen now. I'm just going to scan that code. Open Expo app. Open project. Starting to create it there. Bundling JavaScript bundle now. It takes a bit for the first load, but once it loads first, it's quicker then every time. Now, you should see this then. Open up app.js to start working in your app. So we go back to our app. And you can see inside in our app.js the text here. That's what's displaying on the screen. React Native is a bit different than working on a web application. We use a view instead of a div. They're more or less basically the same thing, and we have the text for adding in text, and there's a few different ones, but we'll go through all them as we're going through the app. Okay, so we'll get started. First of all, I'm going to create a components folder. Inside that component folder, I'm just going to create a task.js file. This will be for each individual task that's been rendered to the screen. We'll come back to that now in a little bit. So inside in our app.js, so we're importing a style sheet and a text and a view. You can see we're using the view here and our text. And to use styles, we use the style sheet.create. So we'll be going through all them now in a second. Now for our styles, for the style sheet, I'm just going to paste them in here. I'll leave a link to the GitHub repository in the description, so you can just paste them in. I'll just paste them in to save some time, and I'll quickly go through them then. So we just have a container, and we're setting the height to 100%, and we're changing the background color. Then we'll be having a button. We're just doing a flex direction row, because in React Native the default flex direction is column, and just some padding and border radiuses. We have a text wrapper. We're giving the flex one to take up the full height of the container that it's in, and we're just setting some heights and things like that. Nothing major there, so let's start. Now, so we're going to have our view. We're just going to get rid of these for a minute. In here we're going to have another view. I'm going to give this a style. I'm going to set it to styles.task wrapper, and we'll have another view in here. And we're going to have some text in here, and we'll set the styles for this text. It's going to be styles.section title. And we'll just write today's tasks in here. We'll save that now, and now you can see today's tasks are after moving down. Now, so we need a text input. That's what React calls an input, or React Native, sorry. So we need to go up here to line 3, and we're going to import text input from React Native. So just below this view here, we're going to put in a text input. That's a self-closing tag. If we save that now, we won't be able to see it because we have to set some styles to it. So I want to say style equals styles dash input. Now you can see our input is after popping up here now. So React Native we can use the same hooks as we do in React. So we're going to use state here now. So up beside React, just do a comma, and we say use state. And unlike React now, for React Native currently, we still need to import React in each screen or each component. So we're going to say use state. So up in our state then, just below our function, we're going to set up some state. So we're going to set up a task state and an input value state. So tasks use state, and the initial state of the task is just going to be an empty array, and we're going to have our input value state. And initially we're going to set this to an empty string. Okay. Now, so our text input, we're going to, so the value for our text input is going to be our state of input value. So the value equals input value. We're going to set a placeholder. Put in a string, add a task, I'm just going to wrap the text here now. Okay, and okay, so we want to set the value, so we're going to use an onChange event. So onChange, and for the onChange we're just going to set the input value, and React Native knows that it's going to change it to the text. So we'll save that. Now if we start typing, you can see it's taken what we're typing in and showing the value. Okay, so just clear that out. So the next thing then, we're going to create a little button here. So in React Native we use a touchable opacity, and a touchable opacity has a few built-in features. Once you press it, the button kind of automatically has a touch effect on it, so it's handy for that. So we need to import that from React Native as well. So import a touchable opacity, and we're going to put that in this view as well, and just below the text input. So touchable opacity. Okay, so now inside this touchable opacity we're going to create another view. This view is going to have styles button. And we're going to give it some text. I'm just going to do some inline styling on this. Just going to set the color to white. And give it the text add to list. Now you can see our button is there. And if we press it, you see the way the touchable opacity has the effect as if it's pressed. Now we're just going to put a little icon in the button as well, a little plus button. And to use that, Expo has we can import material icons and font awesome icons from vector icons, but Expo has it included, so just going to import it like this. So we're just going to put in this line of code, import, and then we're going to take the material icons we're going to import it from @Expo vector icons. So Expo provides us with all the icons. We could push in font awesome icons in here either. So down here in the touchable opacity, just below the text, we're going to push in, we're going to use that material icon now. Material icons. We're going to give it a style, inline style as well. We're going to say the margin left is going to be 5 to give it just to space it from the lettering. Margin left. Set that to 5, and we're going to give it a color of white. Forgot the comma here. And then the icon we want, we say the name of the icon we want, and it's add dash box, and we're going to set the size to 24. Press save on that now. Now you can see the little icon there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do then is we're going to go into our components folder, and our task.js file that we created earlier, we're going to create each task. So we'll go up to tasks. So the way I've just done that is I'm using the React native snippets. You do _RNF and it'll auto complete the structure here for you. So I'm just going to paste in the styles again. Go through them quickly. I'll have a link to all the styles in the description. So we're just setting the colors for each item. These will be all clear as we go through it. Okay, so our tasks, these are going to be each item that's going to be displayed below. So it's going to be receiving some props, and the first prop is going to be receiving is a task, the task that's been handed in. And from the task, we're going to take the ID and we're going to take an item. Okay, and it's going to take a function also, and the function is going to be delete from list. Okay, and we're going to return a view. We need to bring in our icons too. We're going to have an icon for the delete button, so I'm going to use the material icons as well. So we're going to import that, and for our styles then, we need to import style sheet. Okay, so in our first view, we're going to set the styles to the styles.item, which is this one here. Just setting the background and padding and border radius and things like that. Okay, so here, style. This is going to be equal to styles.item. I'm just going to get rid of this text for a second. We're going to have another view inside this. And we'll set the styles here too. The style for this will be styles.item left. We have another view in here. This is just a little marker, a little square. We could put a checkbox in there after if you wanted to do yourself. This is going to be styles.square, and inside here then we're going to have a text. We'll set the styles. Style is equal to styles.item text. And we're going to pass in the item here that's passed in as a prop. Okay, so under this view here, we want our material icon. And we're going to set an on press here. In React Native is not on press, or on click is on press. So we say on press is going to be equal to a function. And the function is going to be the delete from list that we've handed in. Delete from list, and we're going to be handing in the ID. Okay, we're going to set a few properties on this. We're going to say the name. The name is going to be equal to delete. That's the icon we want. We'll set a size of 24 again. I'm just going to wrap this text again. And we're going to set the color to red. Okay, so that's our task. So this will be a reusable component inside in our app.js. So to get all the items rendered out on our home screen, in React we use map. You can use map in React Native, but they recommend to use a flat list, and the benefits of a flat list is it doesn't take up as much memory and it's automatically scrollable. So we're going to set a view for this. So down just below the touchable opacity, we're going to create another view. And before we create our list, I'm going to just create a few functions that we need first. We're going to create the function that when we press the button we want to add it to our state, and we're going to create a function to delete it from our state as well. Okay, so first of all I'm going to create a new terminal here, and I'm going to install UUID. UUID generates a unique ID for us. So I'm using yarn, so I'm going to say yarn add, and what I want to install is React Native UUID. So I'm just going to install that for yarn add react-native-UUID. But if you're using npx, just do npx install React Native UUID. And how you know if you're using npx or yarn, your lock file, if you have a package.lock, you're using npm, or if you have a yarn.lock, you're using yarn lock. Okay. So we're just going to install that now. Okay, that's installed now. I'll go back to my other terminal. Up here we're going to create these functions now. We'll do the add to list first. So just in under our state we'll create that. So we say const add to list. So we're going to have an arrow function. Now, so we're going to say if the input is blank, we're going to alert to the user that is empty, and we're just going to return. We're not going to do anything extra, so we're going to import alert from React Native. So, and the alert will pop up a dialog box on the screen. So we're going to say if input value is equal to an empty string, we'll say alert dot alert, and then we're just going to pass in the text or the title of the dialog box. It's going to be oops, and then the message itself is going to be input is empty, and then after that we have to put in an array, and inside that array we're going to have an object, And the text then on the button is just going to be OK. And if all that is true, that is empty, we're just going to simply return. We're not going to go any further in the function. So if that passed the test, then we want to create a new item, and we're going to add it to the list or state. So we're going to say const. We're just going to import our UUID first. So up under icons, we're going to import UUID from React Native UUID. So here we're going to create our new item. So we're going to say const new item. And we're going to have that as an object, and ID is going to be UUID.v4. So that'll create a unique identifier for us, and the item then itself is just going to be what's in the input value. Okay, so that's our item created. And we're going to set the tasks then. So set tasks, and it's going to be array. Add in the new item first. And we're going to take everything else that's in there as well. So we're just going to add a new list to the top of all our tasks. The new item is going to be added to the very first position in our tasks array. And once that's done, then we're going to set the input value to an empty string. And we want the keyboard to disappear because naturally the keyboard doesn't close on its own, so we need to import keyboard from React Native. And then we want to say keyboard.dismiss. It's a function. So keyboard.dismiss. Now, so we want to assign this button, add to list, we want to assign this function to that button. So we scroll back down to the touchable opacity down here. And we're going to say on press is going to be equal to that function. So we say on press is equal to add to list. Okay, so we'll create our delete function then as well. So we're going to say const delete from list. I'm going to set an arrow function that's going to be taken in the ID from the tasks item, and we have an arrow function. And we're just going to set the tasks then. Set the tasks to the tasks dot filter. And we're going to filter each task. And we're going to say where the task dot ID is not equal to the ID passed in. So what this function, so the delete list is going to do, it's going to set our tasks, it's going to filter our tasks, each task, and it's going to return all the tasks IDs that are not equal to the ID passed in. Okay, so we have our touchable opacity and press add to list, and now we're going to create the flat list that's going to display all our tasks for us. So down below this touchable opacity, we have this view set up, and we're going to add the styles.item style into it. So styles is going to be equal to styles.items. And inside this view then we're going to have a flat list. We need to import that from React Native. Flat list. So scroll back down to this view and have a flat list. Now, for a flat list, we need a key extractor. We need the data that it's going to use, and it takes a render item. So the render item is going to be the task.js inside our components file. So it takes three key things to work. So the key extractor is kind of like the way we set the key in React. So it's going to set a key for each each task. So to set that up, we say key extractor, and we'll set that up. And the way the flat list works is when it's going through each piece of data, the keyword is item. It sees them all as item. So we use item and a function then, and we're going to use the item.id as the key. And then the data we're going to use, that's going to be mapped through and rendered out, is going to be our tasks. And the item that we want to render then with this data, so then we say render item. Render item is going to be equal to the task, but to do that we have to tell it to render through each item. So we destruct the item and then return. We're going to return that task, and we have to import that. So just check that auto import for me. It didn't, so I'll auto import that in a second. So sometimes if you just select after the last letter and press Ctrl+, now it pops up task components, press tab. Now it is after importing first, but I notice I'm after making a mistake. So I'm just going to rename this to a capital T. We always have our components with a capital letter. So I'm going to update that, and I'm going to change this to a capital T const task and export default with a capital T and save that. Okay, so if we go into our app.js, we should have import task with a capital T from components with a capital T. So go back down here on our task. Now we should have a capital T, and we're going to pass in the props now to the task. So we're going to pass in a task prop, and that's going to be equal to the item. And we're going to pass in that delete function then as well. Delete from list going to be equal to the delete from list. And that should be it. That should be everything. So we save that now. We'll just test out the app. Oh, we have a can't find variable task. I'm just going to reload my app again and see. Did that fix it? No, can't find a variable task. Let me just see now. Oh, this should be data equals tasks. So we save that now. Okay, so let's try and add a task now. So if we say shopping, we press the add button. Oh, we have to import React inside in our task file. Forgot to do that. Import React. Save that now. Just reload our app now. Okay, let's try that again now. So our new error, let me see where the error is coming from. Oh, look, inside in our text input, this should be unchanged text instead of unchanged. Save that now. Now let's try again. We'll try and add something to our list. Shopping add. Now you can see the shop. So sorry, I spelled that wrong. Shopping. We add that to our list. We'll say walk the dog. Now we see walk the dog. So if we delete shopping, if we press the little icon, the bin, now that's deleted. And we press the delete walk the dog and delete them all. So if we try and add something when there's nothing in the input, we'll select add input. Now we get the alert saying oops, input is empty, and we press OK. I hope you enjoyed this introduction to React Native. If you're interested in building apps, this is a good place to get started. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. It helps me out a lot and it helps grow the channel. And for anyone else that's looking to learn React and React Native, it helps push the content out there to others. So if you want to see any more videos in the future, please like and subscribe and click the bell notification to be notified when a new video is released. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next.